but basically we were targeting senior developers in the community with the goal of build a portfolio in open source that is going to help you to apply for new jobs, to build a career. Because when you're a developer and if you are working in closed source, you cannot show your work to the companies. They don't know how amazing you are as a developer. We have to shift the paradigm of closed source to open source. I believe our people, if they want to be in their communities, they should be in their communities. If they want to work in New York or London, they should be wherever they want to be.
Yeah.
But the freedom should be to choose where you want to stay and where you want to live. And in Liberia Satoshi and Bitcoin for Open Source, we are working to create opportunities where people are.
Dulce, we finally got you in the studio. Are we doing English or Spanish today?
Spanglish.
No.
No, let's do it in English.
Perfect.
Today.
Spanglish.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here with you, Mike.
Oh, no, it's an honor for me to have you here. I'm excited to kind of, I know a lot of people already know you in the space, but for those who don't, to kind of introduce you and your work. And so I know you guys are very focused on education, but I don't really know your backstory on how you arrived to that. So I would love to hear how you kind of, I think you were working in the tech sector in the Bay Area. So how you came into Bitcoin and how these educational initiatives started.
I'm born and raised in Mexico City. I studied economics. I was working as a data scientist in banking, in fintech. And then I went to a hackathon, learn about Bitcoin.
When was that?
2016. And I got invited to the first Latin American Bitcoin conference in Mexico City. I met Antonopoulos, like Sergio Lerner, and it's just Bitcoin blew my mind. I was like, what is this? And as an economist, like, I think, at least for me, it was easy to understand the value of Bitcoin, the scarcity, how it works, and that money is a way that humans communicate value. And I was like, yeah, Bitcoin is value, but how this magic works? Then I just went to the rabbit hole, and few years later, my story is I didn't speak English. I didn't know how to program. Like programming is web development, is different from data science. And in the first opportunity, I take my carry-on and I moved to America to learn English. And I learned English programming. I got a job in Silicon Valley as a developer advocate. My first job was with Rootstock or RSK.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we think as a Latinos we have weakness because we speak Spanish and we learn English, right? But actually also can be an strength because if you speak both languages, you can navigate two worlds. Latin America is very important. And I got hired as a developer advocate in San Francisco for Rootstock.
For Rootstock, but in San Francisco.
But in San Francisco.
Because they're based mostly in Argentina, right?
Yeah, exactly. The headquarters is in Argentina. They had people in Singapore, but they need somebody to run Americas. And I was like running developer advocacy for Rootstock in Latin America and the Americas, North America. And it was a big challenge because you have to learn programming, do public speaking in English. It's like my life was like turned like it just kind of 180, but it was super cool.
Hey guys, just a brief interruption. We'll get back to the exciting show here, but I just want to really ask a favor that you guys could make sure that you're subscribed if you're watching this on YouTube. If you are listening to this on a podcast, please take a second and review this. You don't even have to write a lengthy review or anything at all. Just click the number of stars that you want to give us. It really helps us in the algorithms to make sure people are finding out about what's happening here. All right, back to the show.
My background is more like product management, but I couldn't get a job as a PM or product manager. But I got as a job as a developer advocate. I got two offers. I took the more close to Bitcoin, and it was a great experience. And then I got invited to the Chain Code study groups that you were awesome. For those who don't know what is Chain Code, is an institution where Bitcoin Core developers can get a grant or work full time in Bitcoin in New York City, but they have Bitcoin initiatives like study groups. But then I realized like we were only 2 or 3 people who were from Latam, and then we did this initiative to do these study groups in Spanish, and I couldn't come here to El Salvador to do some education, but I invite people, and it turns out only one person could go to the Spanish-speaking study groups because the lectures were in English, and I was like frustrated and sad because I thought, oh, it's the same that happened to me when I read the white paper. It took me, I don't know how many days it was in English. I feel like I was translating word by word. And that's how it borns Liberia Satoshi or Satoshi's library, because I realized still it's hard to learn English and programming and understand Bitcoin and learn Bitcoin was very hard for.
And most educational information that's out there is in English. There's
Yeah,
a ton of it in
totally.
English, but when you get into other languages, it gets more challenging.
Totally. And I feel like, oh, I believe like if you have privilege, like I have now, like speaking another language and have a job in Silicon Valley and be able to teach others is a privilege, it's a responsibility. And then I was in the position where without knowing I feel like I was one of the most educated Latin Americans in the space. And then I say, I have to share that. If you have something that you believe is going to change the world, like we believe Bitcoin is a tool for change the world, I think we need to share that. It's like Dredd from OpenSat said, is Bitcoin love.
Yeah.
You have Bitcoin love. You have to share that love, right?
No, definitely. So this idea was kind of born out of that, and how did you go from this just being a dream to actually putting it into place, and now what kind of resources do you guys have that you provide to people?
Yeah, I want to say Bitcoin Beach and you and Chimbera are part of responsible of inspiring me. And the reason is like they told me somebody invited me to come to Bitcoin Beach to Zonte to teach Bitcoin. I was like, I cannot leave my job. In that moment, I thought that, and it's like, no, I have to go to the office. I cannot just move there. And then I went to a conference that I recommend to go is the Human Rights Foundation conference, and I saw an activist, and he changed my heart because I think finally I realized the most important thing we have in this life is time. And what we are gonna do with the limited time we have in this place. It's a beautiful place. It's our Mother Earth. What we are gonna do with our most valuable asset that is time. And then I realized, like, oh, I cannot keep making money for rich people in Silicon Valley. I have to share this. And basically, I quit my job in Silicon Valley as a product manager. And in 2019, I think, or 2021, I quit my job and I started the website. I don't consider myself as a senior developer. The opposite. I consider like a aficionate hobby junior developer. I started a website. I launched it, and suddenly we have like hundreds application. I was like, oh my god, I'm not ready, but I did it. We start classes. We start the Lightning seminar. The idea of not starting with Bitcoin is I knew our people want to learn. That's true. People want to learn and to know, but I couldn't handle one. It was a solo company, solo initiative, one person giving to thousands. I was not ready. And then
So just sorry to interrupt you, but just so I understand, So initially, the idea was to do classes.
Classes.
Okay, it wasn't to translate existing material. It was just that
Yeah,
you were going to lead classes.
Yeah,
Okay.
classes and not translate. I think translation is it's a beautiful art, but you have to be you have to work a lot on translating material because it's not just translating. You have to do a cultural translation, right? And then what I did is we start in English, like the readings were in English, but the classes and the Socratic seminars, we talk about it. I write questions, and people discuss these questions, and we started with 80, 100 people, and then in the end we were like 30. Uh, and it was great. It was like three. It's normally how Liberia Satoshi works, still works like that.
Yeah.
It's like 2 to 3 months classes, 2 or 3 times per week. It's like more like a university class.
Yeah.
It took me time to translate.
Are the students from all over Latin America? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have people from 26 countries because there is Latinos everywhere.
Yeah.
And Spanish speaking, also Spanish people. I remember we have a guy from Spain living in Thailand that also is part of the Bob space in Thailand. And they are amazing. And we have a guy from Italy who say, "Oh, there is nothing in Italian." It's like, then I speak some Spanish. Can I join? It's like, yeah, join. That was actually very funny, like receiving people from all over the world.
Yeah.
People taking classes at 1 a.m.
Oh, yeah, because you're in Europe. But
Yeah, yeah. The people were so motivating, and that was so beautiful. As today, we have more than 1,000 people who took classes in our Bitcoin initiatives in Liberia Satoshi from 26 countries. How it works is I realized I couldn't handle so many people in the applications. Then we start doing scholarship, put a price, because I live in San Francisco. Some busy capitals were joining for free. I was like, no, you should donate. And then I changed it from the solo operation with volunteers, people teaching, office hours, from my own pocket, giving people money. Sometimes we make money to pay teachers, and sometimes I have to put money from my pocket. Like, you know the story, how it works. And we start giving classes, Lightning, Bitcoin. And today we have students that I feel like I do nothing. They do the effort to study very, very hard because the material is hard. It's harder than sometimes chain code. And the heroes are they get their jobs, they start their startups. Like we have people working in Bitcoin. We have people who already started their startups, like Max is one of the stories that I want to tell you.
Sorry, just real quick, just for my own understanding. So when people graduate from this course, what are I mean, obviously, if it's several months, this isn't just basic Bitcoin. Are you guys teaching them how to develop on Bitcoin, or what is the give me an understanding of what they're capable of doing when they graduate.
As today we did at least 5 different initiatives. The first one is wallets. It's like we teach you how to use wallets, and this class allowed us to test new teachers or new like we call them educators, leaders, or it's more like a facilitators kind of. We have that class for everyone. It's free. Everybody can join, and allowed us to train new teachers. The second one is mastering Bitcoin, mastering Lightning, learning Bitcoin with the command line. Now we did the program for senior developers that we can talk later. But now we are doing we have a new adjustment that is going to be several courses. And when you finish the course, you will have a certification. What we teach is Bitcoin core philosophy in the way that you understand how Bitcoin core works, the decentralization, the monetary policy, kind of more into the deep technical details, mining, how we have a class, we have a guy from Venezuela who work in mining in Venezuela, and then we check how much energy you need, like the return, the investment. And for example, in Bitcoin from the command line, you basically are doing Bitcoin transactions from the command line. We have a guy from Spain who teach that.
So for somebody very much not technical, explain what does that mean, doing Bitcoin transactions from the common line?
Yeah, that's a good thing. I want to say also that you can start from the zero, starting from the zero level or like a beginner, and you can move little by little to the next class.
Yeah.
We teach people how to use the terminal. Like if you are a journalist, a marketer, I don't know, like a surfer coach, like you can run your node and we teach you how to use the terminal.
Okay.
Or how to move from Windows to Linux. There is office hours. We have people who dedicate their Sundays or Saturdays. They get paid a little bit, just few sats, and we teach them. Basically, as today we use a wallet that is a user interface that is beautiful, is easy, but also Bitcoin is a protocol of information, and you can talk with your Bitcoin node using the terminal.
Okay.
Then you can say, for example, get info, and you get the information of this transaction. Then basically, we teach you, or the teachers teach you how to talk with your node by giving them commands. And in that way, kind of you get how it works easily, uh, because it's basically you are talking with your node. And this is, for example, you can learn that in more expensive classes with other curriculums, or very similar what Jimmy's song teach. But if you live in El Zonte, probably you cannot pay that these courses. Even myself, if I remember I wanted to go, I didn't have the money. Like sometimes we don't have the money. That's the reality. But in our classes, anyone can take the classes. We basically give 99% of scholarships. It's like basically one or two people pay. Like if we saw somebody living in America who went to jail or to Stanford or is working in Google, these people should pay.
Yeah.
But the rest of the people, basically everybody get a scholarship. And as today, this year, we are gonna do everything for free, but we are gonna keep the proof of work and the application system.
So is there different, I'm still trying to understand, is there different, so you have multiple different classes that you
Yes.
can take? Okay.
Yeah, we have the wallets classes.
And sorry if these
No,
are
it's
very
good.
basic questions, but I think it'll be good because I think a lot of people in the audience are not very technical, similar to me. So when they graduate from the wallet class, is it that they just know how to use a wallet, or they would be able to like build a wallet?
Oh, we start from scratch, from
Okay.
zero to hero, kind of as a commercial. You take the first class, is wallets is 1 month, 2 classes per week.
But and when
And
you graduate from that,
you
what can
only
you do?
know how to use several wallets.
Okay.
And the goal of each class or each course has a goal. The goal of the wallet class is that you, as a Bitcoiner, know what wallet recommend or what wallet to use in a specific use case.
Okay.
Like it's not the same being in a place with internet that in a place without internet. There is not the same to use a self-custody wallet than a custody wallet. And when you use that,
Yeah.
and it depends of each use case. Then when you finish this class, is you know which wallets exist and which wallet recommend. That's the goal.
Okay.
Building wallets is like a pro, like a ninja, like a
Yeah,
hero.
yeah.
Then we teach you in the next class, that is let's say is the beginning class, we teach you the basic of the Bitcoin protocol. Because yeah, we know Bitcoin is valuable, is decentralized, there is a scarcity. We get that Bitcoin has value because it's basically incorruptible. But we don't know how it works. It's basically magic, no? In Spanish, we say matemagia, magic and mathematics together. But then we explain you the math and magic by teaching you how to understand cryptography, signatures, mining, all in a way that you can understand and say, "Oh, this is how Bitcoin works." And we were using in the last 3 years mastering Bitcoin. Nowadays we change it and we took some chapters for the beginning, and then we adapt learning Bitcoin from the command line for the next steps. Then basically you can take one course, then the next one, then the next one, until you take the last one that is just for developers. But I want to believe that we give you the tools that if you want to learn programming, you can do it on the side.
Okay.
I can give you an example. We have Clay from Venezuela. When he started 3 years ago, he wasn't a developer. He was an analyst, and today he is a developer. He is contributing to Fedimin as an active contributor to Fedimin. And then, yeah, it took him 3 years, but he did everything. He started learning programming by himself while taking all classes in Liberia Satoshi. Until today, he went to the senior developer residency. He was one of the only two developers uh, that was not senior, but was in fact junior to made it. But in Bitcoin, grit and perseverance is the most important thing as a developer. Because if you have grit, you have half the way because you are not going to quit.
Yeah.
Then, for example, the case of Clay from Venezuela is from zero. He got a job in an exchange. And one day, somebody went on vacation. That's another developer from this developer went on vacation and say, who can run the node? And nobody could, but he knew. And he said, hey, I can run the node. I know how to do it because he learned that in our classes, open, close, channel, etc. And he raised his hand, then start being in charge of the node. Keep coding, taking classes, and now he's full-time a developer.
Wow.
And I think he probably is gonna get a grant sooner or later, or get a job full-time as a Bitcoin developer in one of the cutting-edge technology of Bitcoin technologies. Fedimint is cutting-edge technology, and we Latinos, we need people in cutting-edge technology in Bitcoin, and it's totally possible, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
No, that's exciting, and you guys are seeing people kind of start from the basics and
Yeah,
wow.
and it's all them.
Yeah.
If I feel like I just show the way, and they say, "Oh, this is the way," and they do it. I cannot code with people, but I can tell them that they are really good because from the bottom of my heart, I can tell you we have amazing people in Latin America, beautiful talent, good people. That is kind of show them the way and tell them you can do it. This is all the knowledge. Keep doing the work day and night, day and night. And I think that as today we have people working in Tether, in Plan B, we have people in exchanges, we have people with grants, and we need to keep helping each other as Latinos uh, to keep growing together as a community.
Yeah. No, I feel like even the difference between like 2 years ago and now, especially in Latin America, you've seen this surge. I think part of it's just what's happened in El Salvador, and there's a lot of efforts here, but I think I've just seen this kind of region kind of gravitate towards the opportunities that are
Yeah.
there.
Just as a parenthesis, I haven't been in El Salvador in the last 2 years, and I'm super excited and seeing all how it's changing. Then, uh, Mike, keep doing what you're doing. The work that Bitcoin Beach and everyone is doing here is so beautiful. It's so inspiring, and I feel like coming back here and see what is possible give me so much energy also to keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you so much for your work.
Hey, it's a privilege to be a small part of it. I you were at the Plan B conference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool was that to have the Spanish
Uh,
track
it
there?
was it
That
was gorgeous.
yeah,
I never feel so proud because it was not only in Spanish. We have a lot of Salvadorian, and
yeah,
I think that matters. I mean, I'm Mexican, but I like to see Salvadorians because that means we are in the right track.
yeah.
Like if we don't have local people, that means we can do better. And we saw Salvadorians in the stage telling their stories, telling what they are doing, and it was so beautiful. Like, to be honest, I was very very happy. I don't know. I want to say to the organizers, I don't know who did the agenda, but it was great.
Well, Roman was really the Chimbera was the driving force behind this. He had this idea to do the paso a paso. He wanted it in Spanish, targeting Salvadorans, and Plan B was like very gracious. They heard this idea and they said, "Hey, why don't you make it part of the conference?" Because
It
initially the
works.
idea was to have a standalone. They said, "Hey, why don't you have it to be part of this?" Then we didn't have to go out and try to find our own sponsors and everything, and we were able to incorporate it. And they really made a big push that I think half the tickets that were sold to Salvadorans, which is huge because historically, even the conferences that have been here, it's been a pretty small percentage. And so it's the cool thing for me was it wasn't just that like it was in Spanish, like language wise, because we've always had like the translator things, but the feeling over on those stages were just different also. Like I think for the people here, it's one thing to come in and have it in your language, but you still, if it doesn't feel like culturally like inclusive, it's so I had you go over there, everybody's, obviously louder and warmer, and it's a different environment than on the English side. And so I loved how the two different sides really represented the differences in the cultures.
Yeah, even as a speaker, and thanks Chimbera for the invite. Yeah, Chimbera and you are a force of nature. Uh, you go to a conference speaking English as in this one feeling and one energy. Like I've been in many conference lately, actually most speaking English.
Yeah.
And this conference was my first in Spanish in a long, long time. And after I finished my talk, like a lot of people reach out to me and ask me a bunch of questions, and I am not the only one. Like Katria from Cuba, she finished her talk and she has to stay with other people because there is interest. Our people want to learn more. I think she keep teaching how to do peer to peer for 1 hour, uh, and you feel different. And yeah, it was gorgeous. I think people from Plan B, we need to do it again.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that those plans are already in motion for next year. They already have the dates locked in. They've already rented the facility. So
Awesome.
yeah, so and I think it'll be even more amazing because this year we didn't have that long to plan, and so for next year I think it'll be
I'm
take it to
excited
the next
already.
level. And they have more space. They got an additional big auditorium for next year because they sold out of the tickets like
I have
week and a
people-
half before.
there is people from the community coming. There were a lot of people trying to get in.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm not saying one or two people.
No.
A bunch of people wanted to get in. It was amazing.
I had people DMing me and they're like, I already have my flights and my hotel but I
Same.
don't have tickets. And I'm like, I would usually at a conference you can like help if it's like one person, but I'm like,
Yeah.
no, we've already like pushed
Same.
our limits with even trying to bring our own team in. And so that's a great problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem. It was a different conference.
Yeah.
I hope they do it again. I got invited again because I feel like if I also have time, I could do more workshops, teaching. There is so much we can give to our community in terms of education, and I am pretty sure in this 2025 we will see more collaboration between the different communities because the ecosystem is also more mature. We know each other, we trust each other. I can say that we love each other.
Yeah.
We've been in the space for so long that I feel like there is friendships, strong friendships between each other, and that also allowed us to do better projects too.
And I'm assuming at this particular conference, you met a lot of new people. Sometimes you feel like you go to a conference, you see the same people, and but I felt like this because it brought so many new people in, especially on the Spanish stage. I'm sure
Yeah.
you are leaving here with a lot of new connections.
Yeah, a lot of new connection, people who want to learn more. Something really different from these conferences. I don't know if it's because I'm a women speaker, um, but a lot of women reach out to me, and for one of these reasons is like normally there is no women speaker, right? I guess it's more a mostly dominated field, like science. But we are gonna launch Finanzas Personales y Bitcoin as un curso only for women, because there is studies that show that where there you have only women, they feel more safe. And at this point we need more women. I think the adoption is gonna, I was talking with Mercedes from Circular Economy in Merida, and it's like the in the moment we have the same number of women and men, I think is gonna come Bitcoin adoption, because a lot of the mothers are in charge of the house. Is the
Definitely.
house like the economy in the house is in charge of women, of woman. And then I was like, oh, gee, we need more women. And I think I want to invite people who are Spanish speakers to join the Finanzas Personales y Bitcoin para Mujeres que vamos a lanzar. Y I want a lot of women, and it's going to be totally free.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but and this has been something that the Bitcoin community has always, they've been aware of, and they've been really making a push to get more women involved. But it's a challenge. I always joke it's the only place you can go where the women don't have to wait in line for the bathroom, but the men
Always.
do. But if you noticed on the Spanish side at this conference, I felt like there was almost like an equal representation of women as there were men. I
Yeah,
felt,
totally.
which was very unusual. On the English speaking side, it was still mostly men, but I felt like on the Spanish speaking side, so that to me was super meaningful, because
Yeah.
I felt like that means that as Salvadoran community, and I think the way Bitcoin rolled out here as a grassroots effort, I think it's seen less as like high finance and more as like, hey, this is a tool for the people. And so by the people that we saw attending the Spanish sessions, I
Yeah.
felt like, wow, that's really having an
And
impact.
one thing I always say to my female coworkers or any woman that I met in the space is, yes, we are less woman, but there is a beautiful sonority, there is a beautiful sisterhood, because we are only few of them. Then basically they became your best friends. Then I can say today, like, I have really good friends in Bitcoin space, women friends, and we help each other a lot. Yeah, we are not a lot, but we help each other a lot. Then even if you don't see a lot of women in the space, we help each other.
Yeah.
You are gonna find a mentor. You're gonna find a friend. It's a very welcoming on that side. And for example, this time in the Bitcoin for Open Source initiative that we will talk later, we have only two women, but they were incredible. And I, on my side as a female CEO, I do everything that is in my hands to keep these women safe, protect, and give them everything, but to feel uh, that they are in the right place, even if they are only two women between 20 guys, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like they feel safe, welcome. And I want to invite other women to also start their own initiatives. Like they can start their own initiatives. They can copy and paste Liberia Satoshi in their own community. They can use our material. Is everything is on the web. They can use it. It's free, open source, and everybody can use it in their own little community or in their big cities too.
So let's talk about the new initiative you have, the B4OS, Bitcoin for Open Source. What is that initiative, and where did this idea come from? And
Yeah, man, this is crazy because I sometimes I feel like imposter syndrome, and of course I am not a senior developer. I didn't feel entitled to do an initiative for senior developers, but I have a lot of support from my team. My team is Federico from Argentina. It's a lawyer, a nerd who is kind of my right hand. Is not kind of is. Sometimes I spend more time with him than with my partner. And Ivan from Spain is also he's a senior engineer from Spain, also a teacher in Liberia Satoshi, and we have a big push from other international institutions to do it. And they say, hey, you've been doing this for 3 years for free. Um, we trust you. You do an amazing job. I think we should do senior developer training. And it was hard to say yes, but I say yes, and we did it. It wouldn't be possible without the team. It was really hard to do something new. Like everything that is new, the first time is hard, and the first time is always hard. And we did an amazing program for senior developers, only targeting senior developers. And we did a funnel of proof of work with Code Challenge that were provided by Chain Code. We did some tricks. Because I am a developer advocate, I know the culture, like we suffer of a lot of imposter syndrome. Then we did some adjustment for our culture. We do meetups, but basically we were targeting senior developers in the community with the goal of build a portfolio in open source that is going to help you to apply for new jobs, to build a career. Because when you are a developer and if you are working in closed source, you cannot show your work to the companies. They
Yeah.
don't know how
Yeah.
amazing you are as a developer. We have to shift the paradigm of closed source to open source. We don't promise jobs. We don't promise money. We don't promise nothing, but build a portfolio in open source. But from 350 developers who apply, we get the best developers, and we did a residency in Argentina in person. We have Peter Todd, Nifty Nay, um, I forgot the name, Oscar from Fedimint, the head of engineer of Fedimint. We are seeing amazing photos. It was
Is this part of the program?
yeah,
there? Okay.
just part of the program. Nifty Nay is talking about Lightning Network. She's a protocol developer. We have a Peter Tog. We had also Sergi from Chain Code. We did a lot of focus in career. I realized planning strategically how is your life and what tools you need to build your life is very important. Then we did some planning of your lives. Here we are with Oscar from Fedimint, amazing developer. We have Francisco Calderon from Mostro too, and we didn't even do classes. It was amazing. It was one of the best experiences in my life. Amazing people, like amazing people, and we finished. We just wrap up this effort from March to December, and 3 of the developers already got grants.
Nice.
Yeah, Maurice got grant from Spiral. Clay is the junior developer I was telling, probably is going to start soon as an intern. And BitTrust is also supporting Latin American developers. BitTrust is an initiative from Jack Dorsey. He gave some sats, some bitcoins actually, for African development, but they decide to do a bigger job. Then now BitTrust is focusing in this global south. That means
Oh, they are. Okay, that's good
They
because
are.
I remember when the initiative was announced, and it was very exciting. There was a lot of kind of hoopla around it, and then it kind of like was very slow in rolling out. And I've heard some criticisms of like how slow they've been. So it's good to hear that they're kind of ramping
Yeah.
things up.
Yeah,
and
now they are-
distributing more funds.
Now they are doing all global south. That means Latin America, Africa, and Asia. I think the criticism sometimes came from you have the money, but tell me, money is not enough. You
Yeah.
can get a donation, but the most important is the people, the
Yeah.
human capital.
Yeah.
And starting something new is hard. Like I don't like to criticize sometimes because it's hard to do new stuff.
Definitely.
And if you have this amount of Bitcoin, first of all, you have to secure this Bitcoin. Then see how you are going to work. At least for my experience, as today, I have a great experience. I can tell you in 1 year what is my experience with BitTrust, but it's been good. I think in the beginning, probably as any project, a startup initiative is hard in the beginning, but on my side, no complaints.
Yeah.
Everything is being
No,
fast.
obviously it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And today they released 4 grants in the African Bitcoin Conference, or 3. They have one of their developers from Africa in Chaincode as an intern. I hope Chaincode get more developers as an intern and not as a brain drain, like
Yeah.
take the developers forever. I believe our people, if they want to be in their communities, they should be in their communities. If they want to work in New York or London, they should be wherever they want to be.
Yeah.
But the freedom should be to choose where you want to stay and where you want to live. And in Liberia Satoshi and Bitcoin for Open Source, we are working to create opportunities where people are. And as a Bitcoin developer, you can work from El Zonte. Actually, a lot of people move here. You can work from Mexico, you can work from Patagonia in Argentina, and you can work remote, get a salary. The salaries are very high for Latin America. And if you became a senior developer in the Bitcoin open source space, this is what we are doing, finding the talent and give them all the toolkits they need to become the best. But they are already good. We are just giving some toolkits,
Yeah.
some tools. This is how you apply a grant. These are the grants. This is what you have to do. This is what you don't have to do from our experience. But the talent exists, and I think the future of Latin America is bright because our people is amazing, good, hardworking, smart. But I hope they know there is opportunities to work as a Bitcoin open source developer or creating companies. Also, creating companies is a good idea too. They don't have to be necessarily an employee. And if they want to be an employee, we can help them to make contacts with these companies too.
Well, I think it's so important a lot of times just to give people a starting point because we've seen that here in El Salvador. Like a lot of the young people don't even know where to start. They see this opportunity coming and they don't have necessarily a lot of mentors here. There wasn't in the past. There wasn't a strong developer, community
Yeah.
here, but we're seeing that change in El Salvador through a bunch of different initiatives, including Cuba Plus and some of these
Yeah.
other things that have Torres Dev, and there's been a number of different initiatives here. And
I
so,
think this is a global problem.
yeah,
The lack of mentorship is the hardest problem we all have to solve. Then this problem, India has this problem in Bichala, that is the Equal Initiative. Also, Bitros Builders in Africa, they have the money, but you cannot create mentors
Yeah.
from the night. We have the same problem. I think our people also need to understand that the first generation sometimes not gonna have mentors. I didn't have a mentor.
yeah,
I was the only woman in Silicon Valley, Latina, who was in Bitcoin, right? Or in blockchain space. Like for years, I've been the only Latina. Thanks God, I'm not the only one anymore. But it's gonna be hard. But also that means you're gonna be a pioneer, and as soon as you feel ready, you have to be a mentor. Like now I am a mentor for many people, um, but that's a global problem.
yeah.
I hope more people come to Latin America, live here, like people from Europe. I love what John Attack did, move here, teaching people. Adam Gibson. There is people who've been moving to El Salvador. I hope this continue. Like also, we need this movement of human capital and smart people from the north to the south. I'm so happy to have you here in Latin America, Mike. I hope this flow of knowledge and people, and also value keep moving,
Yeah.
because we cannot continue with north, south, the north and the south being so different. We have to have equal opportunities in any part of the planet.
No, I love that. I love that. Well, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to say people like follow us in Twitter.
Yeah, yeah. But anything, we'll get that at the end. We'll make sure they know how to support you. But
Yeah.
have we covered everything
Oh
else?
yeah,
Or?
I want to say like in Bitcoin for OS is a Salvadorian entity
I
or
love that. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. We have to be coherent,
Yeah.
talk and do the same,
Yep.
right? Most of not criticizing, but everywhere is in fiscal paraísos fiscales.
Yeah.
And we decided to do it here. Like if Bitcoin is legal tender and we can use Bitcoin as our money in El Salvador, and Salvador is a Latin American country, and we are focusing Latin America, we create an entity in Salvador to give grants. And this year we are going to be focused in raising money and fundraising to give grants to Latin Americans uh, anywhere who lives in Latin America, even. Like if you not from Latin America, but you live here and you were willing to teach and share your knowledge also, and micro grants. In that way, people can start easily and fast in Bitcoin open source or dedicating their life to Bitcoin. Personally, it's not like religious, but changing my life to Bitcoin, like to dedicate my life to Bitcoin education, is doing my life better every
Yeah.
day. Like I wake up happy. I know I'm changing the world. I know I'm doing good, and I kind of want to share that. Right? It's not like a cult, but I promise, like doing something that you know is good for humanity, like Bitcoin is doing, is good money, decentralized, censorship resistant money, makes your life so different. And also, if you can also make more money by being a Bitcoin developer, why not?
Yeah.
Then we want more people to dedicate their life to Bitcoin, and we are fundraising to give grants to developers in Latin America. That's our goal, and we are not going to stop.
So for people out there in the Bitcoin space that want to support that effort, how can they specifically give towards this grant?
Yeah. As today, they can reach out to us right now. We will have all the information in our website. They can go to our website, that is b4os.dev, or Bitcoin for open source.com, or in our Twitter. They can follow us and they will see how to donate. If they donate in Bitcoin, it will be in the Salvadorian entity. If they donate in fiat, it's going to be in our American entity, and they can get their tax exemptions. Basically, it's going to be separate fiat world from Bitcoin
from
world.
Bitcoin world.
Yeah. And if you want to help, you want to become a mentor, you can become a mentor. If you want to help, just reach out to us or to anyone in our team. We are happy to listen to you and to see how we can do better with Bitcoin education in Latin America.
And then for Library of Satoshi, you guys have a separate site for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, the courses are going to be what we've been doing the last 3 years. But what we changed from this year is the best students from the courses are going to be the ones who go to the residency, the B4OS residency.
Okay.
We didn't notice, but our best students have the same qualities that the best senior developers in the residency. Then if you are a top performers in all our classes, in all our courses, we will invite you to the B4OS residency that is in person. We don't know where we are going to do. Could be Colombia, could be Mexico, could be here in El Zonte, wherever we find the way to do it. But basically, you start taking classes, you became showing your proof of work, and you were one of the best developers. You got invited to the Bitcoin for OS residency or B4OS residency, and from there we helped you to get a grant. And once we fundraise enough, we will give you a grant.
Okay, awesome. And where can people follow you? I'm assuming you guys are on Twitter. I don't know if you're on Noster. Where's the best place
Yeah,
for people
we are all
to
the
keep up?
yeah, we are all the social media. Is Lib the Satoshi in Twitter. In Nostrum we are the same, and
Liberia de Satoshi.
see
Okay.
Lib
Lib?
the Satoshi in Twitter.
Just LIP?
LIB.
LIBL.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course.
No, Lib Libreria de Satoshi, or you can follow me. That is Dulce DULC_XYC. And I have my, I used to have Twitter change, or X change, but you can send me a message or also LinkedIn. And we will have this year more presence in social media and podcasts. And thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah.
I really hope Salvadorian people join to our classes. We need more Salvadorians because Salvadorians are the future from Salvador too, and they have to disperse the knowledge.
No, definitely. Well, one thing that we're doing new here that we're using AI to also release in Spanish. So you'll be able to hear yourself in Spanish and see how close it sounds to how it should sound.
Wow, so excited! Yeah. Also, you can see on our website the bootcamp Lightning plus AI. Actually, we are teaching how to use AI and Lightning at the same time.
Awesome.
Then we invite them to check our website and follow our initiatives. We keep trying our best and doing our best to update everything to be in the cutting edge technology because our people deserve.
Definitely. Well, that's a good note to end on. Well, I appreciate you spending the afternoon here, and yeah, we'll have to revisit again next year.
Yeah, and yes, I would love to come to the Zonte more frequently. A beautiful, beautiful work what you are doing here, Mike. Thank you.
Well, thank you.